Happy Vlogmas day 14, everybody. Happy birthday to my son. I didn't have a great night's sleep last night. Why did I not have a great night's sleep? Don't know. I wasn't coughing, no problem there. But I just woke up in the middle of the night, as in, it's silly hour, what I call silly hour, and checked my emails and found that Pat had written to me again, another email. Hi Pat. And I felt so guilty because she wrote to me, it's her third email to me, and I started replying to the first two, because she sent two one after each other, and I started replying to those, and then I think I must have got waylaid and it ended up in the draft section and I hadn't sent it. So when I woke up at 4 o'clock and saw that Pat had sent me another one, I went, oh, I haven't answered. Check and see if you've answered the other one. When I saw it was still in the draft, I thought, oh golly, start writing it now. So at 4 in the morning I was replying to Pat. Pat made herself a lovely which is, I don't know if you remember, it's a while back, she sent us she sent us some photographs of some makes that she made, and one of them was this top, and she's made another 2 tops as well, and they're absolutely wonderful. She did tell me what the top pattern was, and I'll see if I can trace it back to one of her older emails to see what it was, but really nice. And she made the trousers as well, so I'll put the pictures up there to let you see what they're like. Really nice. Anyway, I finally got an email sent back to Pat, and since it was my son's birthday, and it was, by that time it was about 5 o'clock, half 5, and I thought, well, my son gets up at 6 o'clock, so I'll send him a happy birthday. And I said, happy birthday, son, but don't forget your birthday doesn't start until 2:05 this afternoon. And he messaged back and said, no mother, you got that wrong, it's 2:30. And I went, oh God. I said, well, I blame my old age on that. So anyway, happy birthday to my son. We're getting some final orders out today. Although I've closed my shop, I've got other people who are saying, can you do some plates, can you do these? And one of my regular customers, a really regular customer who I do plates for, he does beautiful hand casts of when you have a baby, and you can go to his place, his shop, and they put the hand in plaster and produce this cast, and he mounts them onto you know, like a mother holding a baby's hand or whatever, or even just the baby's hand and feet. And I do the plates for him that go onto those. So I sent him the plates, a batch of plates, and they haven't arrived yet. But having said that, look at this. This is our Royal Mail in one of the big depots. So it's no wonder half the post's gone missing, because it's probably over in that batch of, in that big room full of post. So everything is more or less hunky-dory now. I don't have to do many orders. I'm sat almost on top of this heater because it's cold today. And we're going to pop out and post these parcels, post these letters, and get them sent off. What else I want to tell you? Tomorrow we have my mother-in-law's birthday, 96th birthday, so we're going down to Leeds to see her. Going down to Leeds for we've got to be there for the afternoon to say happy birthday to her. Then we are coming back, and tomorrow night we are going out, supposedly with John and Barbara. And we're going to go and see the Wildcats of Kilkenny, who we've seen before 3 times, thoroughly enjoy them. And it's a group of musicians who get together every Christmas. They put on 3 shows, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and that's it. They never perform again. I think one of them's a music teacher, but absolutely wonderful. And I'll see if I can catch some footage for you. They're really good. But unfortunately this morning, John and Barbara rang me, they WhatsApped me, video call, and John's nephew is coming from Australia. His brother lives in Australia, and his nephew is coming from Australia with his friend for 3 or 4 or 5 weeks. They don't really know. They've got no information, but they're coming to stay with them. But they want to go to Manchester first. So here's what's happening. John and Barbara are going to drive down, let's see, how far is it from where they are? So tomorrow morning, John and Barbara are going to do a 3.5-hour journey from Leeds to Heathrow to pick up his nephew and his friend. And his nephew doesn't arrive till 12. Apparently he was supposed to be coming earlier, but when he was about to go on the flight, apparently there were some documents missing, so he had to go online and find these documents, get them and everything, and finally it got sorted. But they missed one flight and had to get the next one, so they're running late for starters. So they're picking them up. It's taken 3.5 hours, fingers crossed, to go down to the airport, Luton Airport, to Heathrow, and pick them up. That's if the flight's on time. That's if they're not too long in customs. And what they're going to do is then take them from Heathrow to, now let me just get this right, Manchester, which is a 4-hour journey from Heathrow to Manchester. So if they get up, if they actually come off the plane and actually come out the terminal at 1 o'clock, and hopefully they can get to the car by say 2 o'clock, then 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock they'll be in Manchester. Then from Manchester they're going to drop these two boys off because the two boys want to see a bit of Manchester and they're staying in a hotel. And then John and Barbara are going to be travelling from Manchester to where we are, which is 2.5 hours on a good day. So that would be 8:30. That is if things go well. The tickets say the doors open at 8 o'clock. So if all goes well, they will be here at this venue tomorrow night between 8:30 and 9. If all goes well. But that's not accounting for the fact that the trains are on strike, that there may be inclement weather, because the other day there was a lot of snow down south. We haven't had any snow, but apparently down south they had snow. They're not used to it, not like we are up here, and of course cause no end of chaos on the roads. So we might see John and Barbara at the Wildcats at Kilkenny, but if not, I said I'll film it for you and let you see what you're missing, because they haven't seen it. Fun and games all over. So we were thinking we might go out for a meal tomorrow before we go to the show, but that's been tossed aside because they're going to be driving all over the country. So basically they're here, they're going down there to pick these people up, these two boys up, then they're going over there to drop them off at Manchester, and then they're going to go up there to us. So it's quite a trek. So altogether they will have done 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours of driving. And will they be in the mood to watch it? I don't know. Anyway, on to Sherlock. The fatal audit. An arms merchant shot dead. How tragically ironic, Holmes said. And shot with his own pistol, a Walter PPK, the coroner added. 2 shots in the chest at less than 10 feet. We were in the office belonging to Simon Carolan, an arms merchant who was found lying dead under the Christmas tree in a pool of blood. There's no evidence except for the fired gun, not a single, said Lestrade, complaining. At least there are 2 witnesses waiting to be questioned outside. They're both in a terrible state and keep trying to calm each other. We stepped outside and found Florence Carolan, the widow, and Julian Tavern, a leading employee, hugging each other. What a terrible tragedy, Tavern cried. There's an audit the day after tomorrow. That's why Mr. Carolan and I were working late. And Mrs. Carolan, she works in my office. She was helping with the paperwork. And when did you find the body, Holmes wanted to know. I keep precise records of my working hours in this diary, Tavern said, ignoring Lestrade and handing the booklet to the famous detective instead. Feeling snubbed, the inspector cleared his throat crossly as Holmes read the last entry. Your boss called you on an internal line at 8 p.m? He asked. Yes, he said I was to come to his office immediately. I dropped everything and went over at once. On the way I heard 2 shots. Then I spotted a man wearing a black ski mask coming out of my boss's office. He got away. Holmes then asked, after that, did you touch anything or change anything else at the crime scene? No, nothing. I didn't touch a thing. That's exactly what happened, the widow confirmed. I came here as soon as I heard the shots. They hugged each other again. At least Mr. Carolan won't be able to get in the way of your joint happiness any longer, Holmes said. How tasteless, the widow hissed. My husband is not even cold. Planning and committing a murder together, that's what I'd call tasteless, Holmes said. Now, why does he think that? We'll have to find out later on, won't we? Number 14. Well, where's number 14? Oh, it's a lady, a young girl. And where does that young girl go? She is right at the back there, looking at the presents. Oh, she's by the Christmas tree, putting the presents out. So we'll sort that out. And number 14. Where's number 14? Number 14 is... 14's a big one here. It's this one here. So let's show you what it's like. This big one here. And there's nothing at the window on this one. Nobody's looking out the window. Just some nice baubles. And when I open it up, look, we've got some choir singers. And number 14 is Frohlich Weihnacht Überall. Merry Christmas everywhere. So let's see if I can get this one going. That was rather nice. I like that one. Don't recognise it. It was very good. So we'll go and put our little girl, or our mummy, I think it's mummy probably, into the house. She's going to go in the house, and we'll see what the temperature is today. 2.9 degrees, minimum 0.3. She wants to brush by my trousers, don't you? Yes, you do. So, the fatal audit. Lestrade put his hands on his hips. Just because Mr. Tavern and Miss Carolan obviously know each other rather well doesn't mean you can accuse them of murder, Holmes, he said. As far as Scotland Yard is concerned, a suspected motive doesn't count as evidence. We aren't a couple, the widow cried, trying to remove a lipstick mark on Tavern's collar with her handkerchief. Let's not worry about that, Holmes said. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm providing solid evidence. I'm all ears, said Lestrade. Mr. Tavern, I was surprised to find that you had noted the call from your boss, Holmes said. I'm meticulous, I told you, he replied. Meticulous enough to record an entry after finding a corpse and stating that your boss had called you just minutes before when he was still alive? Yes, I mean, no. At 8 p.m. Mr. Caroline is supposed to have called to say you were to come at once, and you said you dropped everything and went to his office straight away. Actually, I can explain, Mrs. Caroline stammered. No, you can't, Holmes said coldly, and neither of you can explain why the police couldn't find any bullet casings, seeing as neither of you touched anything. Did the perpetrator leave the gun and pick up the bullet casings instead? Mrs. Caroline and Mr. Tavern looked at Holmes in alarm. He continued unmoved. And now, at last, we come to the motive. Not only was the murdered man a hindrance to your affair, so much for the romantic side of the crime, he also leaves a considerable fortune in the form of his arms business. And you know how to run it. All the way to the gallows, I said. So there. Don't know, it still doesn't, because what evidence did he have? So there you go. Mrs. Caroline and Mr. Tavern were having an affair. So, and in those days, I don't think they knew how to. Well, they did fingerprints, but I don't think there was the fingerprinting the way there is these days. So maybe one of them had a fingerprint on there. But basically, Holmes judged it because she had a little bit of lipstick on the young lad, on the assistant's collar. I don't know if he was young or not, but yeah. So there you go. The accused were Mrs. Caroline and Mr. Tavern, who Holmes was saying that they were having an affair because everything. It's a bit weak and watery, this. But if Holmes thinks they're the murderers, Holmes is right. Holmes is always right. Anyway, what's happening now? I am going to go to the post office, which we're on strike, so I'm just going to put some letter through the letterbox and hope that they will eventually get there. These people aren't in a hurry, and I have to go and drop a parcel off at the couriers because there's another parcel because they definitely want it there as soon as possible. And so I'm going to love you and I'm going to leave you. Fingers crossed I catch you tomorrow, but if not, I shall catch you on Friday and I'll tell you all about mother-in-law's birthday party and the Wildcats of Kilkenny. Bye!